G'day folks, it's Warren again here. Sorry, Chanya's down doing my washing today, so she's not with us. And I just thought I'd take some time to go over an idea that was in my head this morning. Actually, it's been in my head for a few days, and it's all to do with the sort of content we have on our channel, and trying to reach and touch a greater, wider audience. So I'm going to call this video today Retirement, Why I Chose Thailand. Anyway, so if that's something that might interest you, just stick around. Don't forget the subscribe button down in the corner. If you like what you see, just hit the subscribe button. There's a like button as well. You know how the whole deal works. Anyway, I'm going to cue the intro and we'll catch up with you in a second. So where are we today? Well, this is actually just at the back of our housing estate, or Muban. There's a little area out here which got a little, what do you call it, basketball hoop, for the kids to play on. Again, similar sort of housing to we're in, all the, what they call the terrace style houses. And there's a little temple here that I've chosen as about a nice backdrop for our setting here. Which is typically what you find in a housing estate. These sort of temples here you'll see on people's houses, and around the place in little areas like this. This is like a little, I suppose, a little grove, or some sort of area for people to hang out in. They always adorn them with these little statues. These bring the spirits of good luck to the houses and the housing estates. Yeah, so people have been asking me why I don't do some writing. Well, we're going to get some more writing done in the next few months as it cools down. Right, today is actually a really lovely, it feels about 23 degrees Celsius. Yeah, so as I said, why did I choose Thailand? Retirement, the big question. And I suppose, for a lot of people that watch this channel, it's, it's what they're looking for. They're trying to get some ideas as to whether Thailand's going to be for them. Is it a sort of a destination that's worth, setting your goals for? I've got my reasons, so I was going to go through them today. But today, rather than sort of get sidetracked on all the topics, I actually did write down to try to keep me on track. You know what I'm like with this stuff. I run off at the mouth, and I think some people like that, some people find it quite annoying. I'm trying to appease the general audience, and it's quite hard when you get a channel that's growing, 2 to 3 subscribers a day, how to keep everybody happy. One of the challenges for doing the vlog, keeping it fresh and interesting, right? This is something that I really had no idea about when I first started doing the vlog. Although I still don't like the word vlog, it just sounds like you're flogging something. I've mentioned loosely in previous videos, it's a bit of a trick to, half your audience are long-time subscribers and the other half are new people. Well, I don't know the exact numbers, but it seems like that. You've got your people that regularly visit your channel. Out of that, certain number of them sort of, are always chatty on the what do you call it, the comment section. As I said in other videos, and I'd say it jokingly, but it's something that always sort of concerns me. Not many people on these sort of channels are very chatty. We average over 1,000 video views per video. But yet we only get 20 to 30 people actually participating in the conversations. One of the reasons behind that is YouTube is synonymous with the whole trolling aspect of the whole population out there. People like to sit in the comfort of their armchair and try to rule the world through their own perception of the way the world should work. This is fairly normal for the human population. Why they have to get unseemly and unsightly with their comments, it always beats me. I try not to lower myself down to that sort of level. I try to always keep the conversation up, Of course, I do slip every so often. And these days, YouTube are really watching more for that. They want advertiser-friendly channels, and this is something I need to keep in mind when as I'm building my channel, to keep it advertiser-friendly, because those a few extra dollars, although they don't make any real sense to my financial solution over here. As I said before, it's paying for the website where I'm running my blog now. It can pay for a new camera equipment. Like this one here is like coming up to 2 years old. It's going to wear out eventually. The batteries on this thing aren't cheap. They're worth $50. So rather than come out of my pocket, if I'm doing something good, then by all means, subscribe. Like the blog has a subscription place for leaving donations. There's also the Patreon on the channel up there, and other things like that. It's up to you guys. I don't need the money, but if we're doing a good job, it's a great way. If you're not really participating in the conversation, throw a few bucks out there. It all says to me the fact that we're doing something good, and we're building a community that that people enjoy what we're doing. Getting back to the subject at hand, do I repeat topics? This is a big question. Like, if I've got half the audience coming back and long-time subscribers, I don't want to fall into this whole routine of, every few months, repeating the same old stuff. It's going to get people pretty bored. Do I attempt new things, like this type of video here? This is again something new. I tried recently to introduce the whole Thailand vlogging aspect. Like I build this Facebook channel, where I'm trying to collectively build a supportive community of the vloggers and the people who like to watch their vlogs. It comes and goes. It has patronage, but it's not what I would call a chatty group on Facebook. But I think this is the way Facebook's going as well, with their constant advertising and everything else. And the amount of groups out there. I know one guy, he's a Thailand vlogger when he's in the country. He's a member of like 500 groups or something like that. He was recently banned from posting into his groups, which is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. If you're a moderator or an admin for your group, you're supposed to keep the groups alive, and then he got banned from posting in his own groups. I can't figure that one out. But this is the sort of nature we got with the whole social media foray. It's a forever evolving system out there. So like the Thailand vlogging, videos I only did a couple. I was going to run it for a couple of months. It seemed to attract a lot of negativity. People sort of thinking that I'm voicing my own ideas, which are contrary to their own belief system, and it just was a good idea for them to say so. Well, I don't want to sort of cause any ruffling of anybody's feathers. If you don't like the channel, again, I always talk about it. Fine, it's your choice to come here or not. I'm not twisting your arm. But I do feel that I have something to offer. If you don't think I have something to offer, that's fair enough. You're entitled to your opinion. We'll get to that offering thing in a minute, or 10 minutes, or at least. I don't want to make it too long. I also want to keep focused on the things why I'm doing in the first place. Again, sort of part of the whole thing of doing this vlogging was something I found, when I first was doing my investigations into choosing Thailand as a destination. Finding information that was relevant to the lifestyle I wanted to lead. That's always been a bit of a challenge. So I thought, well, the best way to sort of pretty much sum up why I'm doing the channel is to actually give you a bit of a history of my life. I know I sort of briefly gave a video earlier this year, I think when we were talking about gender dysphoria, I give a bit of a rundown on Chanya's life, and I really sort of said I'd try to cover my life as well, but I haven't really got around to it. There's always been something else better to talk about, but it seemed to fit in here. For me, well, I was born, in the very early 60s, and I did stuff, and then I moved to Thailand. That's sort of like the short story. But more to poignantly, I grew up in a Christian framework. Where like the people that around me, they practiced their Christianity, probably about 1 hour a week, if they were lucky. I never understood how that sort of whole idea of Christianity worked if it was only something you did an hour a week when you went to church, and then as soon as you come home, then it was all on for young and old. Well, to me that doesn't make sense. It's definitely not the way the Christian Bible that I read seems to portray how to be a good citizen in society. But we're not going to talk about Christianity. I had asthma up until about the age of 16. I managed to kick that asthmatic habit by taking up smoking. Now that I've given up smoking, I can quite freely say it's not a good habit. But they also sort of say that you do outgrow asthma. I just find it was coincidental, the fact that I got sick and tired of being babied, having to take drugs every day from pharmaceutical companies whose primary goal is to make money for their shareholders. Right? I wasn't paying for the drugs, my family was, and it's not a cheap thing to be an asthmatic. Intel, Allupant, I think there were a couple of drugs, ventilators, all sorts of things. And I just wanted to be a regular guy. The people that I hung around with at that time, they smoked. So I wanted to be just like them, so I started smoking. This is what you do, you're a kid. You're impressioned by the people in your peer group. Interestingly enough, I started smoking and the asthma went away. I'm no doctor, but there's something to be said about the psychological aspect of being an asthmatic and taking a different approach that's non-medically explained. Seemed to work for me. Maybe it'll work for some asthmatics out there. Stop pandering to the pharmaceutical companies. Find out what upsets the asthmatic reflux, and try alternative medicines. Try anything. Try a few things. Who says that the pharmaceutical companies are making drugs that are actually going to cure it? If they wanted to cure the thing, they'd do themselves out of a business. Think about it. Anyway, so enough of that. So in my early adulthood, I finished primary school and I was accepted into Fort Street Boys High. That's one of the most selective elective schools in New South Wales. Has a very big reputation. I managed to sort of squeeze in because my father went there, so it's like there's the old boys club sort of thing. But it meant the fact that I had to commute about an hour and a half every day to go to school. It was a bit of a challenge, but there's sort of things you do want to do if you want the higher educations. Sort of 2 years into Fort Street, my father got placed in by the Australian Defence Industry over to Scotland to do the refit for the Oberon-class submarines. The policy then for the government was the fact that if the father was away from the family for more than 6 months, the government paid for the family to go too. It was a 2-year posting that turned into 2.5 years. So we all took a free trip to live in Scotland. We didn't actually live in Greenock where the boats were being made. We lived in the sort of small hamlets about maybe 10 miles south of Greenock. Greenock. I don't even have my Scottish accent anymore. From there, I did my A-level matriculation at Linwood High. I was accepted, as a matriculation. My matriculation allowed me to enter university to study physics, which is, where I really wanted to go. But unfortunately, I really didn't want to stay in Scotland for the rest of my life, or for the next 4 years on my own, because my father's posting had finished. Made sense to stick with the family and go back to Australia. That really annoyed the shit out of me because when I got back to Australia, I went to get that A-level matriculation certificate equivalenced in the Australian schooling system, and they said, no, they won't accept it. What? I could just enter the University of Edinburgh, which is one of the top universities around the world, recognised that way. And you say that this is not equivalent to get an Australian university? You guys have got your dick in your mouths, really, seriously. So from that point, I just basically said, the schooling system sucks. I just gave up on it. Went out and got myself an apprenticeship as a fitter and turner at a very sort of prestigious firm who were at the time, in 1978, they were one of the leaders in computer engineering. There was 2 establishments in New South Wales that did if I can say the words right, computer numerical control. And that was Gilbert Lodge, which had contracts with the Australian defence industry, and it was a fairly big, corporation, and a small boutique one run by a gentleman by the name of Gil Hoskins. I don't know if most people know the history of Australian Steel. It was actually started by the Hoskins family, many moons ago, before it became BHP. This business I worked for, they were the other business that had the whole computer numerical control. It was his hobby business. And it seemed just right for me. I just liked the family sort of unit atmosphere of that sort of organisation. So over the 4 years of my apprenticeship, I learned how to write the programs for the computers, do all the computer sort of side of it, and left there not only with a certificate of engineer, like fitter and turner, what they call it, certificate. I'd been, for the last 2 years, I was programming all the machines to do the work. Left there to go and get a job in the larger workforce with what I knew, and they all turned me away, so saying, sorry, you don't have a university degree. Oh my God, really? Anyway, from there, from the fitting and turning, I moved into plastics engineering, moved my grades up through there, through 3 organisations, up to a position of production manager around 1994 on the 3rd firm there. But I was actually moonlighting as a computer engineer on the sideline. First I started doing it for beer money, fixing my friends' computers. Then, through association, they would refer me to other people, and I started doing it for businesses. Had to set up my own business, moonlighting. And by the end of 1994, Barry turned around and said, look, you did make a choice, You're taking mobile phone calls during business hours here for your own private enterprise. You need to, align yourself with one or the other. I said, well, I'm doing 40 hours a week here, well, it's like 50 hours a week here, for, XYZ dollars, and I'm doing, 15 hours a week there for an extra 15 grand a year, want to supplement it? I'll give it away. He didn't want to say, he came halfway, but I said, no, like seriously, if I put 40 hours a week into this, I'm going to be better off. And, fair enough, that's what I did. From there, I had, my savings, I'd put away money to run my own business, so I was making a bit of money. But when you start to do it for, full time and, out there spruiking and doing all the stuff to try to, win business, I was actually 2 weeks away from being completely broke and going bankrupt before I won my first big contract. And it was pretty much plain sailing from there. Ran that business for 7 years. The only thing I didn't like doing was being the bank for multinational corporations who think that they want you there yesterday, but they've got the right to pay you in 90-day terms. And, oh my God, is that how business works? Nobody really taught me that one at school, but that's where I was. Anyhow, one of my good clients, in about 2002, we were just chatting about where they were going with their company. I'd seen it growing in 1998, where they had, I put their first server in 1998. There was a small group of analysts doing computer, what they call fast-moving consumer goods. They had won the big contract for doing Woolworths data processing. I put their first server in, I put their second server in, I put their third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth server in from 1998 through to 2002. And I just said to him, Richard, just as a passing comment, I says, wouldn't mind, it's great working for yourself, but, just a bit of, a regular, a couple of days a week servicing a company like this would be great. He says, well, it just happens we're looking for somebody. Anyhow, so that was moving into working for myself to working for a multinational. Well, they weren't a multinational at that time, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so moving on from there. Where are we? So, so that was 2002, so I moved my ranks up through that company there as their senior computer engineer. And in 2005, they decided they were moving into the Asia marketplace with their data processing, and they asked me if I'd go over to Thailand and set up the office over in Thailand to get it all connected to Australia and sort of run their what they call their Thailand, not so much run their Thailand division, but get all the computer controlled environment set up for their running their business. So we had some business trips in 2005, 2006, 2007. Gradually building up the computer infrastructure as they grew their office, and it was great. I got to experience life as a businessman, running backwards and forwards between Australia and Thailand. Great lifestyle and great money. You get to make the Australian wages and come and spend it in Thailand. Always loved that side of the business. I met Chanya in 2009, as I said before. That was a business trip. You can go on back to the other video on that whole meeting bit. But then, of course, in 2012, the Australian division was being placed on the marketplace in the global market for a larger corporation merger. They wanted more. They wanted to grow. The only way to grow, there's two ways to grow. You can grow organically and sort of go into different marketplaces and do the 3-year plan. Each marketplace we'd open, had a 3-year time span before it made it profitable. Whereas, sometimes, coming in on board with a sort of a similar aligned business can be great for expanding into other marketplaces. So we were bought by a company called Aegis, which was a UK-based company working in the media industry. And so there was a lot of juggling to make the books look right. And unfortunately, although Thailand was doing pretty good profitable business, as Thailand numbers and the head of Thailand people were concerned, it wasn't the same sort of profit levels as what some might sort of say in the Australian marketplace. So it was a bit of a blemish on their balance sheet, so they decided to close the office. I can never understand how accounting works. You've got a profitable business running in here. Why can't you make it, look good on the balance sheet? Well, hey, look, I'm not a financial consultant. I don't go into those things, but I have my feelings. Accountants have theirs. That's the way it is. We focus on what we're good at. Anyway, so we closed the office down in 2012. Which meant that every other trip to Thailand was on my own dime. Luckily, I had accrued a fair lot of holidays, which I really never took between 2002 and 2007 or 2008. I'd probably take 1 week a year because I was the senior computer engineer, and they've got a 24/7 operation. Getting out of the office is always difficult to go and take your own holidays. Anyway, so I'd accumulated a whole lot of holidays. So from 2009 when I met Chanya, I started getting to take or leverage some of those holidays. By 2012, I still had about 8 weeks secured, and I'd also just qualified for long service leave. So from 2012 to 2016, I got to do a good 4 trips a year, 2 weeks at a time, which was a lot of fun. Really getting my feet wet and getting to know Thailand. But as I said, one of the things that was missing in the whole genre was information from other expats doing what I'm doing, or trying to find somebody who's living a similar, potentially living the sort of lifestyle I wanted to lead. It was really one of those missing pieces in the puzzle. Why did I do the vlog? I was doing it for a keepsake reasons. Like, I started making videos back in in 2009 after meeting Chanya. I wanted to come home and, this is what my girl does, and I wanted to share that with a few of my close friends. It's a lot easier to show them a video of her dancing skills and her cabaret style business that she was involved in. It sort of made, it just really sort of was one of those sort of things. They were all sort of pretty much private videos. I was never making a blog at the time. But, as I was, really sort of, talking with Michael, who was the manager of our division, over, 2016 about, some of the ideas I had, he said, well, if you're going to do this, why don't you put it on video and put it on your website? You've got a few videos up on your website already. Why don't you put some more up there? Do weekly videos of what your thoughts are, what you're doing, and I'll subscribe. He says, I'll subscribe. So I started doing it just to keep my Australian counterparts, people I'd built up a relationship with. Most of them, as I said, were all business, relationships. I worked hard. I didn't really have a social life per se. I didn't really go out and do the normal things most people did. As I head down, bum up, save my money, reduce my mortgage. I've covered this before. Turn the TV off, the whole thing. But that obviously begot the fact that I was able to make extra money. I was able to invest in my own sort of mortgage, reduced mortgage reduction, throwing money into superannuation. As I said before, you don't actually have to use the superannuation funds that the government say, or the business that you're working for say you have to use. They're usually what they call safe funds, right? If you're not going to get it till you're 65, have a think about that. Why not invest it in what they call high risk, securities, which you're quite entitled to do. I did, and watching those high risk securities grow is quite exciting. I would have actually got to Thailand a lot sooner. It was part of my plans to, entertain the whole 50-year, which is when you can get the retirement visa. I wanted to come when I was 50. I'd met Chanya at 48, and I wanted to go on 50. But unfortunately, 2008 we had the GFC, and those higher risk investments that I had, they took a hell of a slam. I tell you what, it was, like, if you're going to take high risk, I tell you what, you need to have a good heart. Basically my portfolio almost went to half of what it was, and so the plans for the 50-year retirement, well, they were put on hold as I rebuilt. But we got there. He just wanted to see what life was like, as we were living in Thailand, because, as I sort of said, I'm really seriously giving this whole working thing away because it's just not for me. I really do. Well, one of the things, I was feeling like I was losing so much touch with the skills I'd developed over 30 years. And that's really the way it is, the computer engineering, like there's so many facets now, cloud engineering and all this sort of stuff, and that's it, I was a break fix guy. I could feel when a computer was going wrong. As we moved our office into the cloud, well, not so much into the cloud, what they call private cloud, and hosted services and everything else, you rely more and more on the metrics of running the systems, which really took part of the fun out of what I was good at. Although I enjoyed doing it, it was a great job and I got paid a great salary. It just was no longer the thing that really, the spice of life, which is what I grew up to do. Getting back to why I chose Thailand, well, I'm sure you've all heard that the cost of living in Thailand is relatively inexpensive to compare to most places around the world. Well, that was one of the reasons why I chose Thailand. Back in, I think even before Chanya, I had, 2005 was when I was really thinking about Thailand as a possible destination. The whole idea of early retirement was something that was planted in my mind back in 1996 or 95, was it? So my father retired at 50, because he had the money to do so. No, he retired at 55. because he had the money to do so. He didn't have to work. He took what they call a voluntary redundancy package from the government, which is what they tended to do. He had his own investment portfolio, and he took a voluntary redundancy. Sort of set in my mind the fact that, hey, do you actually have to work to till you're 65 or 66, or now if you're a Gen Y, 67, or if you're a millennial, I think they're talking about 70 years old now as the retirement age for millennial class people. Oh my God, 5 years from now you won't be able to retire at all, guys. Think about it. That's something that I was thinking about it back in the 90s. If you're not thinking about it now, you should be. Anyway, so getting back to sort of cost of living, well, that's one reason. But I brought Chanya out to Australia twice. Once for 10 weeks, and the second time for 5 weeks. You just saw that she was arriving in September, and it was cold for her. Okay, we know September can be a bit chilly, especially in Sydney. But how's she going to cope in Australia? In July, August temperatures, when it gets down to 0 and things like that. She was struggling with the temperature in September. But not so much that, it was really, Thais are very family focused. And you can see over that first 10-week stint, she just was losing contact with her family, because in those, that was 2009, and really nobody had Facebook over here. Well, Facebook was around, but nobody used it. It was like that was an elite class status sort of symbol, to having a mobile phone, and things like that. So she had a computer. First up, she was actually going to what they call it, the internet cafes, just so we could talk on Skype, which was really hit and miss. Oh my God, tell you about that. It was the first 12 months of our what they call long distance relationship was difficult. That's why I said, well, let's fly you out to Australia. At least we can spend some good quality time to get to know each other better. But yeah, just sort of watch her, her whole life seemed to, her life spark seemed to disappear over that 10 weeks. And it was really because she just, she felt uncomfortable going out because she didn't felt uncomfortable with the English language. I think she speaks great English, but there is a confidence level that you need, in that sort of lifestyle. And Australia is pretty fast paced. And if you really sort of can't, understand the whole concept of, okay, you just missed the bus, and well, I don't want to sit around for half an hour for the next bus. I'm going to have to get in a taxi, and he's going to have to take me somewhere. And he's going to realise that I don't speak very good English, and the whole mental and of course the other side is Chanya's gender dysphoria, for want of a better word. It's not an accepted part of society over in Australia. Yes, there's many transgender people in Australia, but they're a minority group, they're a fringe group where they get victimised, and the government is absolutely doing nothing to really support the population in those fringe areas, because I don't want to go into it. There's a postal ballot going on to accept same-sex marriage. The No campaign is coming from a Christian dogma foundation, right, primarily, right, trying to support the idea of it, this whole male-female dichotomy, which is, goes with their teachings, right? Honestly, really, what does it matter, right? If two people are in love, get a fucking grip, guys. It's got nothing to do with you, right? Anyway, that's enough swearing for the vlog. Anyway, so I don't want to go into the whole LGBT thing, because I know that's one of the things that they'll demonetize videos on. So in summary, that's the basic story. What we've got. The vlog is just an extension of me. The challenges, the planning stages, trying to find some information. So, well, I started doing it for Michael and the crew, and my business associates and my close friends around Australia. which numbered probably 20 to 30 people. I got over here and it seemed to sort of hit a chord with a lot of people. I started to see some, growth that I wasn't expecting. First 100 subs, then 200 subs, then 500 subs, and channel grows. And I'm going, well, people like this stuff. You got to really get a grip of yourself so you don't sort of lose focus on what you're doing it for, right? I'm doing it because I've really, it's a hobby. It's an extension of my photography. I'd love to be able to sort of open up my photography, since 2005 coming to Thailand. It's in the cloud. Again, does it interest people? Hopefully, over the period of, that I'm doing the new blog, as you know, I may go and do some backstories and cover, seed in some of that photography back into some of the stories. Again, this is one of the reasons why I'm starting the blog. I started vlogging, which was a video side. Right, I'm now moving into more of a central contact point for people where, I know people out there in the YouTube world, there's a lot of trolls. I don't know if I've actually mentioned this, we don't talk about the whole numbers game. I think I think today, we've just cracked 1,500 subscribers. I'd never thought I'd get to 1,500 subscribers, and I've got, patronage, and I get great comments on the channel. Out of that 1,500 subscribers, I've muted 17. I think that's a great ratio. They've only been muted because of their language. They can't. I don't mind having a critique on my channel as long as you keep it eloquent and upbeat, right? And use English vernacular, sort of language that doesn't trigger what they call the swear words and things like that. I know, look, I let a few expletives go on the channel, but think about it, guys. If you can't have a conversation without swearing, well, your conversation is probably not worth having, right? It's just like it's a mindset. You're going to just get out of it, right? Love to chat with everybody, but if you're going to sit there and make homophobic comments, right, which again has got nothing to do with you, right, then fine, you'll get muted. Right? It's as simple as that. But as I said, I've only got 17 mutes because the people that come to my channel actually like the channel. I must be doing something right. I'd like to grow it to the extent of Casey Neistat, 5 million subscribers and everything else like that. That would be, that'd be fun. Become a YouTube, celebrity. I don't know if I could handle the fame, whether I just turn into an absolute dickhead. But I know some people think I'm a dickhead already. You're entitled to your opinion, guys. But anyway, so I don't know how long that video has gone for. I didn't even look at my watch when I started. But I thought it was about time we talked about that. I thought it was a good subject, Why did I choose Thailand? Pretty much you can see the reasons why, and that's why I'm here. If that's something that really tricks some thought processes, get on the channel there, start communicating. If you want to communicate on the blog, right, the blog, www.dia.net.au, sure, get on there. You'll have to obviously register to be on there. There's a robot to monitor the language in there, so you keep it clean. I think first posts will not show until I give you what they call a commenter status. But I'm pretty well looking at that daily just to see if you want to participate. It'll be a cleaner area. It's off the YouTube channel. You can take a different persona. You need to verify your email. You know how it all works. But I'm just trying to sort of create more of a central process. I'm dotted around various social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, YouTube, VidMe now, was it Instagram, Pinterest. They're a bitch to manage, guys. I think having a central blog is the way to go. That's why I'm doing it. And of course, it doesn't preclude me to just doing videos. I can now do stories of interest, add some photography. So this is where I'm going with the channel. Hopefully it'll be a good thing for the channel. Hopefully it'll get more engagement. I'm here to help people like myself that are in their own country making decisions about life of retirement here in Thailand from a perspective of a non-horizontal aerobics expat, if you know what I mean, you know. I get plenty of horizontal aerobics, but it's with my girl, you know. That's what you do in a relationship. Let's not go into it. But, I have no need to frequent those sorts of establishments, to go and report on those establishments or that sort of behaviour. Plenty of great channels out there doing that. Yes, I know it would launch my channel into the stardom. It'd probably, grow from 1,500 subscribers to 6,000 to 8,000 to 10,000 in a matter of 6 months if I started doing those sort of venues in my style. I'm sure it'll be something that people would enjoy, right? Adding my spin to the whole thing. But I really just don't want to do it. I don't think it's a necessary part of the Thailand scene if you're considering coming to Thailand to live a life as an expat in normal day-to-day life Thailand. I'm doing it for Bangkok. This is the major centre for commerce and industry. We're in the suburbs. Right? Other people are doing great stuff up there, like Stephen up in Chiang Mai, Ollie Lama down in Kamala, Phuket. Love his channel. I should comment more on his channel. I really must get down to see him one day. I don't think the two of us will just hit it off like great. Kev, I love watching Kev's channel, but again, it's just a bit same-o all the time. Unless of course he's got a really good top. Loved his recent video of his the Ford, those motorcycle things, mate. I got to get down there and do that. The walk around the soys and things like that. Yeah, well, people enjoy that. It's something that seen one video, seen them all. But he does a great job. I know people really hate his channel. I just don't get involved in it. Right? I don't know why people have these hate campaigns. It really beats me. If you want to have a hate campaign on my channel, look, it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I'm not wearing my dilly gaff hat, but you know what I mean. It really doesn't bother me. The number of people that enjoy this channel, right, and leave positive comments, the comments that sort of make me and drive me to do a better job, right, that's what I'm here for, right? If it's something that you don't like, you know what to do, guys. See ya. Anyway, love you guys, love you girls, love everybody. See you around. Catch you on the next vlog. Bye for now.